Welcome to Florida Focus, a college football podcast. We have a Seminole and a Gator together trying to put aside their differences and bring you the fantastic world of college football. Thank you for joining us on this ride of hype, hope, and hilarity. This is Brandon. I'm joined by Chris. How are you feeling about today's show, my friend?
Really good. Love it when you beat a rival on the road. It feels real good. Excited to talk about this and look forward to our next even tougher game.
Yeah. Both feeling good. We predicted earlier in the year there might be some weeks that wouldn't be so fun to do this, but this is certainly one where we're kind of smiling.
Yeah, this is our first episode where both teams have won.
Yes, we shared a victory, so
it's a good feeling.
Chalk that up, absolutely. So I'll kind of defer to you first, Chris. You can kind of recap the UF Tennessee game, then I'll transfer to Florida State, Northern Illinois, and you're finished. So how did you feel about the Gators' performances on Saturday?
Man, this game, we learned a couple of things. One, Tennessee's not that good at football. They might have some other sports. Women's basketball is one of them, but right now Tennessee football is not that good. And we're starting to learn more about just our team and who we are. And it's weird coming in, Dan Mullen, obviously quarterback guru, the offense, the championships, the numbers, and I think we're all focusing on them. But he's really building a complete three-phase team. And this game was led by the defense. The game before was led by our special teams. Our defense was the story of the game for sure, forcing 6 turnovers, 2 right off the bat, which turned into 14 points. And what a better way to start the game. And, man, this was one of those games where everything went our way. Every break went our way. Every call went our way. Even the point of the game where you saw, like, okay, there's no way we're losing this game. Tennessee has a 4th and 1. They're down already by a lot. And they go for it. They play action, throw it to the tight end. Tight end is wide open. I mean, just no. As Mick Hubert, our Florida radio guy, says, he was wide open in quarantine. Like, no one was around him. Great call by them. He's running down the field, and our defensive back comes and hits him at the 3-yard line, and he fumbles the ball into the end zone and for a touchback, and we get the ball. Should have been 6 easy points for them.
Right. But
the ball fumbled into the end zone, and after that, I'm like, we're going to win. This was, I want to say second quarter. I was like, yeah, it's just our night, and it was. Our defense really got after them. Our D ends put a lot of pressure. We had David Reese, our middle linebacker, first game he was playing. He made an immediate impact and recovered that fumble early on. CeCe Jefferson, who's finally getting back into the swing of things and the rotation. He was a big part of that safety that we had. It's just everything that we were doing was going right. And Felipe Franks, not the greatest numbers, but 172 and 3 touchdowns. It's pretty decent. I'll take that any day as long as we are doing the rest. And the most important stat, again, 0 interceptions. 0 interceptions for him. And as long as he keeps that number low or at 0, we're going to have a really good chance of winning. But again, it was a defense. Our secondary stepped up. Our safeties stepped up. The linebackers who were no-shows earlier on in the season are really stepping up. And again, I know Tennessee's not a good football team, but going on our first road trip to a rival's home, it was good to come out early like we did and just pounded them. The opening kickoff for the second half, we force a fumble. They score a touchdown late, and we respond with another touchdown. It was just a great game for us. Really good momentum going forward in the season. I did not see this coming. I really didn't. I thought that Tennessee was going to give us a closer game, and I wouldn't have been shocked if they had pulled it out. But if you had told me that we're going to walk away and just destroy them like we did, I said, you're crazy. But like I said, we learned that that a couple things at this point in the season. You're starting to see a little bit about other teams and your teams, and Tennessee's not that good.
Yeah.
And their next 3 games, it does not get any better for them. It is at Georgia, at Auburn, and home to Alabama.
Wow.
Yeah, not good at all. So I don't know if they go over the SEC again, but maybe. We learned that our loss to Kentucky wasn't as bad as we thought.
Right.
Because Kentucky beating the Mississippi State team. That I think Mississippi State was a little overrated and Kentucky was a little underrated. So we're starting to see. I don't feel as bad as I did earlier about our team, but I really like the way that we went out and played. The one thing that I would say that I would like to see again the third quarter, besides that opening kickoff and our early touchdown in the third, our offense kind of stagnant. Our defense kind of let them in. I think this year, through 4 games, we're getting outscored 31-10 in the fourth quarter. So we have to fix that.
Okay.
But most of the games outside of Kentucky, we're finishing strong. And this game, we even also started strong. So I really like that.
Yeah.
I'm really pleased with our all 3 phases, like I said. And I said this last episode, and I'm going to say it again, Freddie Swain is a playmaker.
I was going to point that out.
He's not a guy that's going to get you 10 catches a game, but those 3 catches are going to be crucial, maybe even touchdowns, or 3 touches are going to go a long way. He almost had he had 1 touchdown here. He almost had a second one early on in the game. And so I'm excited. And Felipe Franks threw for 3 touchdowns, got his first rushing touchdown.
Yep, I saw that too.
So I'm pleased. Again, I still reserve because Tennessee's not the best, but anytime you win on the road in the SEC,
right,
and you win convincingly, you got to be happy.
Good point. I liked how they finally started to spread out the running game a little more evenly. So you had to be 200 yards rushing, but you had Scarlett and Pierce, kind of the bulk of that. But as you mentioned, 3 guys got touchdowns on the ground, so that's good. And then 172 yards passing for Franks is not bad. Especially when you're in a situation where you had a lot of good field position because of turnovers, you're not going to have as many yards to throw at. So
right.
That can explain some of that too. But yeah, the play of the Vols was not ideal, and I kind of see Florida State in the same situation-ish. We'll get to that in a second, but 2-2 with a really hard schedule ahead where there's not a whole lot of light. So it can be tough for the Vols. And that Kentucky loss looks very different now, for sure.
Yeah. I think a solid 2 in the East. Absolutely. I think they're going to give, because they have Georgia at home. They're going to give them a run for the money. I don't know if they're going to beat them. I'm not going to go that far. That's going to be a good game. A fun game to watch for sure.
So yes, and we'll get to who Florida plays next in a second. So anything else to add about the Gators this weekend?
No, it's last thing is I was looking at this. I believe it's our first 2-game win streak since this time last year. It's been a full year since we've won back-to-back games.
No kidding.
Which is insane. Which is a weird feeling. But I like it, and I'll take it.
Absolutely. I didn't even think about that. That's a good point.
Yeah. It's rough. It was a rough second half of the year.
Yeah, I can understand. We're staring on the barrel at 1-2.
Yeah.
So, they get one on the road. Good for the Gators. Florida State also victorious, this time at home against Northern Illinois.
Yeah.
For the Noles, the first 2 drives of the game, that's how you hope to start and set the tone for every week. And that was something that Taggart kind of mentioned in his press conferences this week. Cam Akers, I cannot believe I'm saying this, has his first rushing touchdown of the year. Now, he doesn't get a whole lot, actually. He's more of a yards guy than touchdowns, but if he's going to get somewhere around 9 to 10, he's got to start doing that pretty quickly. So here's his first one this year. Some other things I just continue to see, the effort surrounding the ball. So on an incompleted pass, I saw some guys fall on the ball, which is on the ground, even though it was incomplete. They're making that extra effort on plays that don't count or show up in the stat book. They're making the play or making the effort behind the play. So, but something turned on with Francois this week. He's finally confident running. Maybe he's fully 100% recovered from knee surgery. I don't know. But, he actually actively took the ball, ran, took a little bit of a tackle too. So good for him. In the first quarter, just completely owned it. We allowed 7 yards on defense and 3 3-and-outs. We only allowed 6 rushing yards the entire game.
Wow.
So we're doing some great things on defense, and that's continuing to improve. Speaking of continuing to improve, my guy Keith Gavin, wide receiver, still showing he's got the ups and he can take over some D-backs. So I'm very, very proud to say he's doing well there. It also helped that Francois was really hot throwing the ball. He started 15 of 16, including 12 receptions in a row. So
nice.
You had him going 12 in a row. You have Keith Gavin catching his groove. Our kicker, Ricky Aguayo, welcome back. Welcome back to Florida State. You're 3 for 3. And he had a 50-yarder right before halftime. That's got to really feel good for one of the captains of the team. So good for him.
Yeah.
DJ Matthews continuing to impress on punt returns. We just continue to get flagged on these and get called back as a penalty. We've got to clean that up. But otherwise, I like the effort. The play of the game, you and I were talking about this earlier, Tamarian Terry, 78-yard touchdown pass. That was right after we were up 10 in Northern Illinois. Looks like they score a touchdown. It's called back on a penalty because he stepped out of bounds, and they missed a field goal. We score a touchdown 2 plays later. That's basically a 14-point swing right there.
Yeah, that was the ball game right there, for sure.
After that, it was early fourth quarter. It was, good night Irene after that. So, Tamar and Terry, thank you for putting the icing on top of that. One thing I didn't mention in the preview show, and I apologize that I didn't give a little credit to this guy. A guy named Sutton Smith is the defensive end for Northern Illinois. He's NFL talent. He's going to go in the draft next year, I think. And he was definitely their best player. We neutralized him. Until late in the second half, like late third, early fourth quarter, he started to get some pressure. We did have some injury, and I'm sure the offensive line, which still needs a lot of improvement, started to wear down. He wasn't a factor in this game, really. So kudos to our offensive line, which I didn't know if they were going to be able to do that. No concern there at all. A lot of positives here. We stopped a 2-point conversion. Always good when they can't get points on the board. Yeah. I mentioned the touchdown and field goal miss in the fourth quarter. I saw Taggart show a little emotion probably for the first time this year. I like his even keel personality. I'm still getting to know his tendencies and everything, but he was fired up. There was a point basically in the game. It was like a 4th down conversion, and there was another situation where we didn't have the right personnel on the field, had to burn a timeout to get some players from the sideline, and he was just livid, and his shirt came untucked. He never tucked it back in. I was like, all right, there you go. Yeah. Stray away from the perfect demeanor the whole time. I get it. Sometimes it's necessary.
Yeah.
So, a lot of positives there. The last one I'll throw in is Trey McKitty, our tight end. I don't know if you play fantasy football for college, but he would have been a nice guy to have because he's getting wide receiver numbers as a tight end. He's quite a weapon. My hope is that going forward, we use him as like an initial blocker, maybe hit a D end off to delay it, and then go run your route because we're going to need the help on the O-line.
All right. Yeah.
So good for him. There were some opportunities, of course. The early second quarter, we had a really weird call where we run this jet sweep to Nyquan Murray, and he fails. He loses about 7 yards. Not the first time. In fact, the same play was ran against Virginia Tech, and he lost a fumble on the same play. So I don't know if this is like something Francois wants to audible out of. If he sees that there's going to be some coverage on the edges, I don't know. Maybe that's a pass instead of a handoff. I don't know. Some kind of adjustment needs to be done there because it's a play we like to try and utilize Murray's speed on and his possession skills. Well, right now, lack of. But going forward, I just hope there's a way we can get him involved, and I don't know that's the answer. Did you see the highlight in our first touchdown?
Yeah, that was I watched it later, but I was following it at the time, and I saw they threw it to the running back. I was like, oh, it's an interesting wrinkle there. But then I saw that wasn't the intent.
Nope.
When I went back and watched it.
So sometimes you got to be. It's more.
Hey,
Yeah. Sometimes you have to be lucky rather than good. And
take it, man. Take it and run with it.
that was the second time that drive we got lucky because earlier in that drive, Francois threw a pass that hit a defender. I mean, right square in the hands, and he dropped it. So you had that drop, and then you had another drop in the end zone, but Patrick's able to catch the deflection.
Yeah.
So,
Well, even if he doesn't, you're still close to probably a field goal, so you're still starting the game 10-0,
right,
which is pretty good, you know.
Absolutely. So that sometimes it got bounced in your favor, and we certainly got the benefit of it there. We chose to make our mistakes deep in our own territory. We had a really bad series early in the game. We're up 14-0. First down, we get a tackle for loss. The second down, we have a negative rushing play, and then we fumble it. So NIU strikes, and hey, man, if you're going to give a bad offense a short field, they're going to score. That's what they did.
Yeah.
So they score, make it a little closer. There was a play, our linebacker Brooks had deep pressure on the quarterback, and he fumbles the snap, and the ball's kind of squirting around on the ground. I don't know that he was going to recover it, but he tried to scoop and score, and their quarterback was able to recover the fumble. So I know he was upset with himself. I'm not 100% sure if he just falls down, if he's going to recover it. But you increase your odds, for sure.
Yes.
So there's a chance there. We haven't been really good on turnovers this year, so that's something I would have liked to have seen. Special teams, another penalty on the punt return. I mentioned that earlier, blocking the back. Cam Akers, another fumble. I do not know what's going on. This is almost like one a game.
Really?
So let's clean that up.
Did he have an issue with that last year?
He had a few here and there. I don't know that it was this regularly, though. So I would hope that gets figured out. And Taggart kind of mentioned this in his press conference this week. He's like, if you're an offensive guy, you can't put the ball on the rug. You just can't do it.
Yep.
So we give up a long touchdown in the third quarter. It's third and long, guys. You should have been ready. But, it tends to happen. Some of those things are just inevitable, I suppose. I just hoped that we'd have been ready for it, at least in that down and distance situation.
Yeah.
We give up a sack fumble deep in our own territory in the fourth, so that gives them the ball good field position again. 4 total turnovers on the day. And I kind of mentioned some of the other things that frustrated Taggart. So other than that, I mean, there was a lot to take away from this game you'd like to see, obviously. And I like that we kind of rolled out some new offensive strategies, and we're able to successfully implement them. So good for us.
Yeah, I like that. I think it's the first game of the year where they started out good. The first couple games, 3 games, they just took them a while, if at all, to wake up offensively. Yep. But improvement there. They started off great. You got to kind of be worried about them getting back into the game. Like you mentioned, that fumble late, that touchdown that they had that was called when they stepped out of bounds, which is a good call. And then they missed the field goal. Those 3 plays right there were, they could have turned into something worse for Florida State. But they capitalized right after. Right after, like you said, they had that long touchdown pass. They put them away. They didn't earlier, but they realized we better put them away right now, and they did. What a great pass by Francois, by the way.
Yeah.
That was pretty. And so you kind of got to worry about the middle of the game there and letting a team that is lesser than you back into it, because you don't want them to hang around in the fourth. Got a couple breaks with that play and then missing, but good on them for capitalizing and putting them away right after. Yep,
absolutely. And I'm seeing a lot of comparisons between Tamarian Terry and Swain because well over 80% of Terry's catches are going to be touchdowns because he only caught 2 in this game, and one of them was TD for 78 yards. Yeah. And Swain's percentage is pretty close, right?
Yeah, it's like that. Yeah, just him touching the ball.
Yep.
He does a lot with it, but it's not much. Okay. But when he does, it's a good deal.
Yep. Well, we expected Terry to be the red zone guy going into the year, but we haven't had a lot of red zone opportunities yet. So I guess he figured, we're on our own 25. Why don't we just try it from here and see if Terry can get it? And he did. So
Right. Just extend the red zone.
Exactly. Make our own red zone.
Yeah.
So, yeah, overall, obviously, Florida State fans walk away happy. You know, you win at home where you're expected to, and you give the fans a lot of stuff to cheer about. So, overall, good little Saturday.
Okay, good.
Yep. All right, so real quickly, we'll wrap around the state, and then we'll preview next week. I was lucky enough to go to the UCF Florida Atlantic game.
Nice.
Saw the Owls take on the Knights at home, and, yeah, it wasn't close. You know, second quarter, the Owls came back and actually took a 3-point lead. That lasted all of 58 seconds.
Once UCF responded and scored right before the half, I was like, that was it. That was your chance.
Yep. And then
that was their chance.
They put the sandwich in, and they scored right after halftime too. So they go up, 28-17, and it really wasn't too close after that. By the way, you were mentioning the big plays like Tennessee fumbling it and getting the touchback, and then our game where we had the 14-point swing where they missed on scoring and we scored right away. Those are the kinds of plays right there, just like blocking a punt, are going to determine who's going to win the game.
Yeah.
But I equally put up there, along with point swings like that, those halftime sandwiches, if you will, where you score before the half and you score coming out of the locker room. That was
my strategy when I played video games all the time.
Oh.
I would always defer, so I didn't want the kickoff. Because I wanted to score right before the end of the first half and score at the beginning of the third.
There's a lot to that.
So UCF, they followed my pattern. You're welcome.
The pioneer here. You heard it first.
Yeah.
So, something that I noticed about the Owls, and UCF fans were just so frustrated with Singletary by the end of the game, as they should have expected to be. The Owls run, or at least in this game, ran the jet sweep option a lot. I think at one point I saw them run it 2 or 3 drives in a row, just first and second down every time. You send a wide receiver in motion to the backfield. Quarterback takes the snap. He fakes the handoff for the jet sweep. He basically has a triple option from there. He can hand off, he can take it, drop back and pass, or he can run a draw play to the halfback. Mm-hmm. And what I thought was hilarious, but not really, is that they were running that, quote, option, but the only option they were taking was giving it to Singletary. They weren't really exercising any of the other plays.
Right.
So, and it kept working. That was what was crazy to me. Now, we know UCF's defense isn't terribly great. But I noticed that Florida State actually started running the exact same play against NIU.
Oh.
So, whatever can get guys in motion, it's almost unfair if you get a guy with speed, basically a running start. Not like the Arena Football League where he just takes off on a 20-yard sprint, but
that's insane.
You send a guy across the field, you do kind of leverage some speed against like a linebacker who's a little slower.
Yeah.
So all in all, I was predicting a 12-point win for UCF, and they even covered their spread, so good for them. Yeah.
And this is Florida Atlantic is a pretty decent team, so it's a good way to respond to their first, I think, real test of the season.
Right. I actually left
and
the
Milton,
game.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I left the game saying, we talked about our seeding of the Florida teams. I saw them, and I was like, the gap between Florida Atlantic and FSU is a lot closer than I thought. These teams are pretty equal this year.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's Singletary. He's for real, and Milton is for real, too. I know FAU is not the best defense, but, you account for 6 touchdowns, 300 yards passing. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
And I knew he was good from last year, but it's just confirmed what we already knew.
They spread the ball around so much. That's it's just so devastating. You're like, okay, their best players are, Snelson and Killens, and you're like, oh, they have a touchdown each, but you're going to give 3 touchdowns to someone else. Or in McKenzie's case, Friday night, he'd be like, I'll just take 3 myself.
Yeah, right. Like, that's real hard to scheme for.
Mm-hmm.
Is you have to worry about all these guys, plus now quarterbacks that are running. That's tough.
Yep. Awesome. So that covers 2 of our teams. South Florida, our quote lock of the week, was way too close for comfort. This game was tied 13-all late in the game, and South Florida does eventually put East Carolina away, but man, that was a lot closer than it should have been, for sure.
What were they doing? What were they even doing messing around with that?
I don't know. And maybe this is just what their MO is going to be this year. They're going to get down and come back. I mean, they've done it 3 weeks in a row now.
Right.
So, anyway, they get a bye week as they don't play anybody next week. So maybe they're looking ahead to some time off. Not sure.
Yeah. It's good they pulled it out, but they shouldn't have. The last game features 2 more in-state. Florida and Miami. Miami wins 31-17. FIU scored all their points in the fourth quarter to make it look respectable, but really it was a blowout.
Okay.
It wasn't much. Again, Miami's receivers and for the story of the game, Travis Homer and their running backs finally got a touchdown. So they looked pretty good. I don't know what the deal was at the end of the game there, why they even let them even flirt with coming back, because they had them down. But they were clearly the better team in this game. You don't like to see them take the foot off the gas, though,
right,
going forward into the season. But I guess the story of the game really, a new quarterback. I'm not sure how to pronounce the first name, but Perry's his last name. Nikasi Perry.
Okay, sure.
Forgive me. But he came in I believe the second and led them to a victory. So more quarterback controversy throughout the country.
Yeah, we were talking about off air. There's just a lot of switches going on there, and I think out of all of the ones I've seen, this one probably made the most sense. Rozier has just been the most definition of mediocre I've seen in the conference.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I think I'm not sure if Perry's gonna fix it or anything like that, but he was the thing that was definitely holding them back for sure.
Oh.
I think Rozier was.
Yeah.
So.
All right.
We'll see.
I like that. So yeah, certainly an eventful weekend around the state. The big 3, if you will. I'll go to victory. Looking forward to next week. Who do the Gators have on the docket?
We are on the road at Mississippi State. And again, nervous. We learned Mississippi State, I think, is a little bit overrated going into the season. They're still ranked. They just came off a pretty big loss to Kentucky. But we're feeling good about ourselves. Just beat a rival. But man, I still don't like these emotional games when we're on the road. I think a lot of people are going to maybe pick us to win, but I still think that just that atmosphere and the hostility, and now the fans are even more mad that they lost. I still think Mississippi State's going to win this game, but probably a little bit closer than I would have said earlier in the year. But it's a really good. It's the next progression. You play your couple of cupcakes. You play a home SEC and an away SEC rival. Now we're going to go to away West, who's a ranked team, and also we're going to throw in it was your coach's former team. So it's just the next step in the progression, and then we have LSU after that. So it's just that ladder, going up the ladder and see how we do. I'm excited. I feel a little bit better about our team after Tennessee. I still don't know if we pull it out, though, just because of the emotions and how jacked those players and fans are going to be to play this game.
Sure.
And Fitzgerald, he's a good running back. A quarterback who can run. And so that kind of worries me, although I do like the fact that Reese, our linebacker, is back. So I like that a little bit better. But I know that he's going to be pumped. Fitzgerald's going to be pumped, and he's going to be tough to scheme against and play against. And I think their defensive line is a pretty good defensive line, too. So I'm kind of worried how our O-line is going to hold up against that.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I agree that everything you mentioned is kind of a perfect storm for probably a Mississippi State win. Now, it wouldn't surprise me if Florida plays this one close. I'll be a little surprised if they pull it off, to be completely honest. But I wouldn't put it past them. There's certainly some ways that Florida can make some things happen. I mean, you explained perfectly the well-rounded team Mullins put together, and that would be the way they would do it. They play all three facets better.
Right.
Something like that.
I think this is going to be a game that we're going to actually have to have our offense win a game for us.
Okay.
And Felipe is going to have to win the game, and not just, as was it Bobby Bowden said, just don't lose it. Right?
Well, that was certainly the way he coached the Miami games, for sure. Don't lose to my.
Just don't lose. Now I think Felipe is going to have to win us this game. I hope not. I hope that the other faces work out like they have been, but I think it's going to be the game that he's going to be asked to step up and to throw for over 200, maybe throw a key touchdown pass late, or make a couple reads late, or a run or a scramble late. I think that's the way we win if Felipe is winning us a game.
Okay.
Don't know if he's there yet, though. I honestly don't. I think he's making the great strides, and like I said, he's not turning the ball over. But I don't know if he is there mentally to make those reads and to lead us back or go into a hostile environment and be asked to lead and win. I'm not sure if he's there yet, but we'll see.
Yes, indeed. And it stings playing a team off a loss, doesn't it? You're just like, oh, they're going to be hungry here. So it doesn't help.
I remember, that's LSU last year. They lost to Troy, and we're like, oh, okay, we got them.
Oops. And
they came in and beat us.
Yep.
And so I'm like, because obviously they were shocked, and I think Mississippi State's a little bit shocked. They lost to Kentucky. Although I'm not, I called Kentucky winning that game. But you're still kind of like, hey, we're a ranked team, they're not, and we lost to them by a lot. I think they're going to be upset. And, hey, what better way to take out your frustrations than your former coach who left you, So I don't like it when that stuff's going against us.
Understandable.
But we'll see.
All right, so going down to Stark Vegas. There you go. Florida State's on the road too, going to Louisville. Whatever their stadium name is now, used to be Papa John's Stadium. I don't know what's.
I think it's a little Caesar's Bowl.
Okay. They went for another piece of cover. I don't know. Surprisingly, another game Florida State can win. Now, let's just be transparent here. Florida State's not a good team this year, but Louisville is close in talent to like an NIU.
Yeah,
they really are. We're favored early by like 6.5. It's a little higher than I would have expected, but kind of makes sense given their offense is so bad. I mean, they just lost to Virginia, and they just can't score.
Is Petrino still their coach?
Yep, Petrino's still there. They did score 31 against Indiana State, so against meaningful teams, Alabama, Western Kentucky, and Virginia, they've only scored 17 at the most. Last week they were lost 27-3.
Oh yeah, that's not good.
Yes, and Virginia is one of the worst teams. Now the bottom of the ACC, I'm kind of confused on because I used to think it was like UNC, but then UNC beat Pitt, so maybe Pitt's the worst team. I can't tell.
Right.
That makes an interesting road trip. Pitt goes to Central Florida this week. Anyway, I'll talk about that in a second, but there's not much to add there. The Knights are going to roll.
Yeah.
I actually kind of think Florida State wins this game. Now, the fact that it's on the road doesn't help. We haven't played well in our one road game so far. So, who knows where that will take us. So, I like it. Considering that just as bad as NIU's offense is Louisville's offense, where you're in the bottom 15 in every single category.
Right.
And considering that we've really stopped the run this year, that's great. Of course, what concerns me is offensive play. Can their defense get to us? But they've had a defense that's just nationally not very good, which is why they couldn't win with a Heisman winner in the ACC, is because they couldn't stop anyone.
Right.
So that's just not going to change. So I don't know that I'm confident with any game going forward we're going to win, but
sure.
out of the three games that, as of right now, I would say we're favored in, I'm okay with this one. But it's still going to be close. I don't know that we cover that spread. It's maybe a 3-point game, something like that.
Really? Okay. Okay. So they is their quarterback? Is he like a runner? Or is he more of a pocket passer?
He's develop. I mean, he's going to have to continue to pass because rushing on the season, they can't move the ball at all.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if that was his intent going into this year, but he's quickly become that because that's the only way they can come back, and they're always behind.
Yeah, it's just baffling me that a Petrino offense isn't good.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I could see the defense, maybe not, but it's always been known as an offensive guy, so it's interesting.
Absolutely. So, I mentioned South Florida's off. UCF plays Pitt. What about FIU and Miami? Who do they play this weekend?
Miami, Thursday night game, hosting UNC.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that they should handle their business with that one.
Yeah, I would imagine they're going to be about a 17-point favorite in that or something like that.
Yeah.
And who knows? That short week, you never know what you're going to get. You know, you only have 4 days off. But
very, very true. And North Carolina, one less week that they've played, but they beat Pitt. So they have that going for them.
Yeah.
But no, I don't see Miami struggling at all with them.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And then FAU at Middle Tennessee State.
Okay.
I don't know. That'd be a good one. That'd be a good one. That Middle Tennessee's at 1-2 on the year. On the road, it's interesting how FAU is going to bounce back from a tough in-state loss to UCF. They had that extra day because they played on Friday night. So we'll see. But Middle Tennessee, their last game was beat down from Georgia. So.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
It was a couple weeks ago though. So it'd be interesting. I initially want to say FAU, but go on the road. Middle Tennessee had a bye before. FAU had I might take Middle Tennessee on this one.
Wow.
Maybe.
Yeah, this, situationally, that would make sense. I'll still take the Owls in this one. I think that this is the time of year that Kiffin starts to take off, but they didn't start like they did last year. And they ended the year, I think, with 9 or 10 wins in a row, something like that. So
yeah.
Good on them. And it started in conference play. But for all the reasons you mentioned, that there's certainly a reason to believe that the Owls may slip on this one. Will they catch on eventually? Yeah, and they're still probably the conference favorites. But
right.
If someone wants to grab on, this is the time.
Yep, absolutely. And then FIU hosts Arkansas Pine Bluff. And anytime you're facing a team with a hyphen in there, you probably had a good chance of winning. I think they should be fine with that.
So
they
did
okay at the end with Miami. I think Pine Bluff should be good.
Yeah. So FIU beats Old Dominion. Old Dominion beats Virginia Tech. So FIU beats Virginia Tech, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that how that math would go?
So Virginia Tech beat Florida State. We'll go a little further.
FIU beat Florida State. Oh, there you go. See? I got to redo my seeding. You just
yes, exactly.
You just jacked up my world.
So there we go.
Oh, man. Yeah. Well, we're going to have to start.
How do you feel after Virginia Tech lost to ODU about that? Virginia Tech.
Gosh, is it time to break out the ACC Wheel of Destiny again?
I know.
This is full circle. This is like once every 5 years it starts to happen in the conference, and it's inexplicable.
It's crazy. It's Clemson and everyone else.
By these standards, and that's why, Thursday night's game, who knows? UNC may beat Miami. It would not surprise me at all. I'd be looking at it just laughing like, that's hilarious, Hurricanes. Well done.
Yeah.
But, and I said this before, and I'm not going to shy away from it. The best looking team right now in the state is Duke. I'm in the ACC. I said state.
Okay. I was like, when did they
move to Florida? No, when did that happen? You have Vautech with an inexplicable loss. You have Miami, who I kind of guess I did put away Florida International, but not looking great in any game so far. And Duke's doing all this with a backup quarterback. So until you dethrone the mighty, mighty Blue Devils, They may win the division if they beat Miami head-to-head. It's going to be one of those seasons.
Yeah, so here's an interesting stat. I'm glad you brought Duke up, and shout out to my friend Tony for giving me this stat. He's a UK fan. This is the first time since 1957 that UK and Duke are ranked in the top 25 in football at the same time. Wow. Not basketball. In football.
Wow.
1957. Yeah. What a crazy world we live in.
Yes. And you know what? They've both earned it. Good quality wins. And Duke's winning some of their games going away. So, hey, keep it up. We need some strength in the conference. And the SEC's got plenty of strength there. So, it's just what teams are strong. And so, good for Kentucky. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good for Tony.
They're good. Yeah. We'll give him one. We'll give him one after 31 years. We'll give him one. You can have this year. You can have the second in the East this year.
So, all right. Yeah, this is the part of the year it starts to get a little crazy. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And fun, interesting.
Yep.
I like it.
Me too. All right. Well, it's a fun week. Remind the fans, Chris, how they can get in touch with us for their feedback on these week's games too.
All right. We have our website, FloridaFocusPodcast.libsyn.com, LIBSYN. Great place to start. Facebook and YouTube, Florida Focus Podcast. Twitter at Florida Focus Pod. Please feel free to email us at FloridaFocusPodcast@yahoo.com. We have a Snapchat and Instagram, FL Focus Pod, and of course our Patreon account.
Love it. All right. Well, thank you, fans, for the listen. 5-star rating on iTunes. Thank you for putting up with my voice. I'm still recovering from a little bit of cold, so I appreciate the listen this week. Any other thoughts before we sign off for the night, Chris?
No. Hope that we all recover. We're all starting to find out a little bit more about our teams and our identities, and it's exciting to go into week 5, week 6. I don't know if you count week 0. I don't know, but looking forward to the next week.
Absolutely. So, thanks again, fans. This is Brandon saying, "Go Florida State."
Go Gators.